Hello and welcome to Procrastination Points Video Snark. This video series isn't an audiobook, is designed as commentary. This series emphasizes reading and listening comprehension skills. If you thought that this was an audiobook, maybe stick around and learn something. I also want to know why it is that you thought that this was an audiobook, because no matter how many times that I say up front that this is a detailed book review, people still get upset that this isn't an audiobook. What made you click on this? My focus is on reading books, discussing what went wrong, and suggesting ways that they could be fixed. I'm continuing my read-through of Girl in Line by Zoe Sugg and or Siobhan Curham. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, you can find the links below. Chapter 5. At the sleepover, Megan decides to be an absolute brat and not say a single thing. Penny thinks that she's still being punished for stuff that happened at the diner the night before, which, wow, that wasn't even 24 hours ago, it was several chapters ago, honestly. It's also highlighting how terrible of a friend that Meg is, that she comes over yet proceeds to ignore Penny and dismiss anything that Penny suggests. Now, we all know that Penny is a pushover, a doormat. She's never going to actually learn how to kick her miserable so-called friend to the curb, yet the readers will be forced to suffer all of this for probably the entire series. I hate this so much. The narration then takes a step back and tells us a bit about the history that Meg and Penny have, that they met in junior high when this teacher sat them next to each other. Penny was desperate not to be the social outcast for the next 7 years. That number of 7 was heavily emphasized, so she latched onto anybody that she could. And I get it, I was also the socially awkward girl, painfully shy and struggled to make friends, but as an adult, I can look back on some of those relationships that I had in junior high and high school and tell you, I think that I would have preferred to sit by myself at lunch than to be nagged and mocked. They were worse than actual bullies. It simply hurts my heart to see others going through the same thing, especially when they're so blinded by this need to fit in and be something that they're clearly never going to be. And ever since then, it's like she thinks she's better than everyone else, including me. Now, every time I'm with her, I feel as if I'm being interviewed for the job of best friend, and I spend the whole time dreading I'm going to say or do the wrong thing, like right now. Let me put this into a different light. If Megan were Mark and he was a guy that Penny had a crush on, what would you say to her? Probably along the lines of, "Girl, you can do better." So why does a friendship get a pass if a romantic partner would get called out? It's long overdue that we start calling out toxic friendships and not only toxic romances. Anyway, it sounds like Meg was once part of an ad for glue sticks. I am not kidding, but I wish I was. And the fame of selling glue in tube form totally went to her head, hence her sudden attitude. Yeah, this relationship has run its course, Penny. Time to find a new friend. Meg continues to dismiss any suggestion for slumber party activity Penny suggests and makes fun of some of the photos on Penny's wall. In Meg's defense, Penny does have a photo of a hagstone, which is kind of an odd thing to have a photo of. Not the hagstone itself, but literally a photo of it. It's a bit unusual, sure. She then asks why Penny was acting so odd at the diner last night. Penny starts to tell her about her car crash, PTSD, and panic attacks, but Meg doesn't even let her finish a sentence, steamrolls her, and somehow manages to make the topic of panic attacks all about the premiere of Romeo and Juliet in 2 days. Wow, seriously, bitch? At this point, after everything Meg is currently putting her through, any hope to cling to this miserable friendship is 100% Penny's fault. Take a hint, babe. She starts yapping about how the teacher compared her to a young Angelina Jolie and her chemistry with Ollie, like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt in that movie they did together, you know, when they first fell in love. Not mentioned is the abuse allegations and how none of Brad Pitt's children ever talked to him. Since Meg brought up Ollie, Penny finds that now is a good time to mention that Ollie asked her on a date. Meg is surprised to hear it, which shocks Penny some, because according to Meg, Ollie tells her everything, except, asking Penny out on a date. Meg doesn't come straight out and mock Penny for accepting the date, but she makes it seem like Penny is too stupid and misunderstood something that Ollie asked. However, when Penny questions if Meg likes Ollie, she insists that he's too young for me. I don't know how old Meg or Ollie are, but if I had to guess, there's probably only a few months difference between them, if that. The chapter ends with Penny lamenting the loss of her friend, that she doesn't know who this girl sitting on her bed is anymore, but she sure isn't Megan. Love my Snark, I also offer book editing services where I bring that same approach to your writing. If you prefer a more traditional approach, I also offer professional book editing services. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms if you have further questions about my editing services, including pricing options. Chapter 6. If the Guinness Book of Records ever wants to feature the world's worst sleepover, they need to get in touch with me. Don't be dramatic, Penny. Literally nobody was murdered, kidnapped, or abducted by aliens. Also, I'm a bit confused as to why she thinks that a single person would give a hoot. Penny wakes up early the next morning and tries to send telepathic messages to Elliot about what a miserable time she had, rather than to, text him or even tell it to his face. She's not bright, is she? She looks over to Megan, still asleep on the sofa bed, and thinks about the blog post that she wants to make about her friend. Can you outgrow your best friend? Yes, you can outgrow your friend. I'm more concerned with why you're clinging to such a miserable relationship. She derails for a moment to tell us about the time that she was in math class and had an amazing idea for a post, but then the teacher passed out the test and she promptly forgot what she planned out in her head and still couldn't remember what it was to say. So it probably wasn't all that amazing if one algebra test could make her 100% forget the entire thing. But in order to not forget her idea of wanting to make a post about a grown friend, she takes out her phone and hides under her blanket. She finds texts from Elliot that had come in after she and Meg had decided to go to sleep for the night. She responds to complain about how awful that Meg is. Elliot then knocks on the other side of the bedroom wall in their secret knocking code. This wakes Meg up and she immediately complains about Elliot being weird. It feels like a final nail in the coffin of their friendship at that point. Penny goes downstairs to make Meg some coffee. Her dad is already up, so she asks him if it's normal to outgrow friends. He tells her about a former friend of his from middle school and how they drifted apart in high school. Although he doesn't really give that many examples, it kind of hints that his former friend was a lot like Meg. He got so full of his own farts that he forgot how to be a nice person. But at the end of the day, they simply started hanging out with different people and went their own ways. Back upstairs, Meg starts in about what Penny should wear for her date. She offers to loan Penny clothes, but insists that the color wouldn't suit her. Then she insults Penny's ginger hair, as if literally any of this wasn't awful enough as it is. Fed up with Meg's miserable attitude and finally having received that last piece of straw, Penny tells Meg that she has to go to her mother's shop and that Meg needs to leave. Meg whines about it, insisting that she really wanted to help Penny get ready. I'm only glad that Penny stood her ground about the entire thing, because you know that Meg would have made her look bad on purpose. Like, we've all read enough of those "my friend is my bully" high school girl trope books. However, after Meg goes, Penny does freak out a little about what she should wear on her date, and she calms herself down and asks herself, what would I wear if it was just up to me? Which is great. Love this bit of advice. No need to make yourself into somebody that you're not, honestly. If you're interested in reading my own stories, you can purchase my spicy short stories as well as 2 full-length novels on Amazon. I also frequently run flash sales on my stories. If you're not already following me on Reddit, I recommend doing so to stay updated on when I offer free content. Reddit is currently the only place where I'm advertising myself these days. Chapter 7. What if he doesn't show up? What if it was all a prank? What if I trip just as he's about to kiss me? To be fair, there's a valid thing to be worried about, especially with a friend like Meg. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop with this relationship, as I'm pretty sure it's not endgame. She's muttering to herself to be quiet as she realizes that Ollie is there. Rather than to laugh the entire thing off, she digs an even deeper hole for herself. The girl does not have a single wit about her. Then Ollie asks if she brought her camera and asks if she can take some headshots of him down by the beach. Wow, Betty, don't be shy. Might as well tell her that this is the one and only reason why you asked her out to lunch. But even Penny is starting to have her doubts when he asks her to do this. So they go a bit away and she starts to take some photos. At one point, he suggests lying on the ground with her, standing on top of him to take the shot. It's an awkward enough way to be taking photos, but then she slips on the wet pebbles and kind of falls onto him right as Megan shows up. Because of course she showed up. Is anybody besides Penny really surprised about this? Except that it's not only Meg, but also all of her friends. Meg sweetly and innocently asks Ollie where they'd planned to go for lunch. Ollie said he hadn't thought about it, which obviously tips Penny off that there was never going to be a lunch date at all. This was nothing but a ruse to get her to do free work for him. Meg innocently and sweetly says that they were planning to go to Nando's and would they like to join them. There's this really dumb bit where Penny kicks a rock, except that she sends it flying into a passing dog. Like, why? Why the fuckity fuck would you fucking write this? I'm not even sorry for my vulgarity. This is straight up offensive on so many levels. I can forgive a lot, but the random and unnecessary scene of accidentally pelting a dog with a rock was so uncalled for. Realizing that she's been played like a Poundland kazoo, Penny makes excuses to leave. The silver lining in all of this is that this was the final straw that broke her in regards to her relationship with Meg. Patreon has recently introduced free memberships. By joining, you'll be able to enjoy the same content I post on Tumblr, now conveniently available on Patreon. Patreon supporters can enjoy even more book snarks starting at only $1 a month. Plus, Patreon now offers a 1-week free trial. Don't miss it! Big shout out to Phoebe for supporting me on Patreon already. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Chapter 8. And I have summoned him with the dire emergency code of 10 knocks on the wall. Or, hear me out, and I know that this is a big ass, but you could literally call him. This entire secret knocking on the shared wall business was 100% written by somebody who grew up in the era before cell phones and still obviously longs for it. However, it falls flat with the knowledge that they have phones. So anyway, Penny goes home where she proceeds to beg Elliot not to say "I told you so." She then proceeds to explain what happened. He's kind of happy that she's finally starting to understand that both of them are trash people. He also begs for Penny to Photoshop blemishes onto Ollie, although honestly, if it were me, I would accidentally on purpose delete the photos and then refuse to contact with him. Either that or withhold the photos until he forks over money for them. He thought that he could get free photos. Fat chance, jerkwad. They then go next door to Penny's living room where her parents and brother are already gathered for a family meeting. The mom proceeds to announce that they've decided to do the wedding in New York, even if that means they'll have to celebrate Christmas in America. Tom flips out and says no straight away. He uses his girlfriend as an excuse not to go, but honestly, I don't even care. The parents are expecting for their kids to drop everything and simply go over to help out with this wedding. Tom is an adult in college. I don't really blame him for dipping. However, Mother tries to guilt trip him by insisting that they always have Christmas together, but he's immune to that, mainly because she's being beyond manipulative about the entire thing. Penny also says that she doesn't want to go. She tells the readers that she's too scared to get into a car and the thought of being on a plane freaks her out way too much. Again, literally nobody notices how badly that she's struggling. Her parents are absolute trash. The parents are even more reluctant to leave Penny at home alone though, and I get it, but they're still trash for not considering the feelings of their children when proposing this. Mom explains that they really need the money and that's why they decide to go ahead with this wedding, even though I feel like half of the cost being made from this wedding would be lost simply getting over to New York in the first place. But that's simply me. Nothing is going to prevent this miserable plot from pushing forward, no matter how stupid it may be. Also not mentioned is the fact that the closer you get to the date, the more expensive plane tickets are. Not to mention the fact that nobody had said anything about stuff like getting their passports. Maybe it's presumed that they've already got them, but it's kind of weird that the author had this international trip plot in mind, but forgot about the most important part of international travel, the passport. Bonus Chapter 3. A few chapters earlier, Penny had a thought that she wanted to write a blog post called "Can You Outgrow Your Best Friend?" and this is that post. Penny starts by describing a nice coat she had as a child, hoping to build up a metaphor. When I wore it, I felt like a beautiful princess from a really cold, faraway land like Russia or Norway. It's cold in Norway, right? My god, how is she this stupid? Anyway, she writes she loved this coat so much that refused to put it away even during the summer because she simply enjoyed looking at it so much. The next year, it was a little tight but still wearable. By the third year, it couldn't button properly. Her mother got her a new coat, which she did eventually come to enjoy, but not half as much as the first coat. She then starts to describe this weird new behavior that Meg has adopted recently, followed by posting the question, what if friendships are like clothes and sometimes we simply outgrow things? And I'm not saying that it's a bad message, it's actually a pretty great one. My problem is that I've read way too many of these kinds of books, and I'm a little anxious that this lesson she learned about Meg isn't going to carry through into her relationship with the male lead, whom I'd like to remind people that we're 8 chapters in and still haven't met him yet. Thanks for watching. New Book Snark's videos go live every Monday with occasional extras during the week. Your support means so much, even if it's not financial. Watching my videos, subscribing, and liking and sharing them with friends all go a long way in helping my channel grow. If you've already caught up with all my videos, you can go to Facebook, WordPress, Tumblr, or free on Patreon for my main book Snarks, always free and updated every morning. Linktree for everything is posted below. See you next week, guys!